I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land I'm lucky enough to live on in the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend that respect to all Torres Strait Islander and Indigenous Australians present today, and part of the way I pay my respect is by donating a portion of my editing income to the not-for-profit organisation Indigenous Literacy. Sorry, Indigenous Literacy Foundation. Trivia game. So I'm Emily from Editing with Emily. I edit and write and teach, but my favorite thing to do is read. Joe and I taught at the same school a million years ago before both leaving to do our master's degrees. And so welcome, Joe. As Aussies, we've done what we always do to successful Kiwis, and we've claimed her as our own. Joe, would you like to share a little about how your reading and writing journey brought you to Australia?
Yeah, I think, look, growing up, I was just the school bookworm, and I just spent my entire childhood with my head in a book, and I just had this compulsion to read. And through reading mainly like, fiction and historical fiction and things like that, really just made me want to get out and explore the world. And so as soon as I'd finished my bachelor degree, I got a job just long enough to buy my ticket overseas, and off I went. And I had no plans to, meet anybody, but I managed to meet my husband over there at the tender age of 21. And he was Australian. And I'd, grown up reading lots of, I was really into Bryce Courtenay books when I was a teenager, The Power of One and Jessica and just all those amazing beautiful books. Bryce Courtenay really conveyed the imagery of the Australian landscape. And there were others too. And so I thought he sounded quite exotic, his Australian accent. But I was really sort of keen to come to Australia. And it's in terms of sort of my writing, I don't like to use the word journey, but that's what it is. I sort of fell into high school teaching and became a high school English teacher. And so then also got exposed to a lot of Australian literature for young people as well. But also I really have always suffered, despite my need to explore and my sense of adventure, I've always suffered quite badly from homesickness. So that's caused a few troubles for me. But I found, especially moving to Brisbane, that sort of by researching, I really got into researching the area and the history of Brisbane and about floods and things like that had happened and shaped the landscape and the culture. And then that's sort of what really got me hooked into writing. So I would say, yes, Australia is it is my home now. I am half Kiwi, but I'm an Australian too. So I really love it here, but it's been a long, winding path to get to that acceptance. And through, going to a few writers' festivals and talking to other people who enjoy writing, that's sort of how I've found a bit more of connection. Yeah.
And you used all of your research into Australian floods shaping landscapes and culture to write a novel last year, didn't you?
I did. I've actually got this, you said bring a book, and I've actually got like this whole pile of books.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, I looked at my bookcase, I was like, where are my Australian authors? But yes, so I had this book. This was published by a local Brisbane publisher.
And author.
Yes, Helen Goltz. And I was just so pleased that she did it because, that was part of the research process that I really enjoyed, but also which led me to wanting to, I guess, follow my dreams for writing and sign up to do the Masters. So at the moment doing a Master of Research through Central Queensland University, Master of Research in Creative Writing. And that's really teaching me how to go deep, I guess, down that research hole and look at, I guess, what other people have done and what hasn't been done yet, and try and carve out my own little niche and add something to the fabric of research. I did read one book, a couple of little books actually, just recently. I'll just put my book pile around. That, you know, it sort of illustrates that, and I guess leads into the book that I'm going to be talking with you about today that I have recently had published. But there are these two books here. I don't know if you can see them. I'll just hold up. So Tabitha Bird, A Lifetime of Impossible Days. It was a really unusual book. And she sort of talks about the trauma of her childhood, but and how she, I guess, overcame that through writing and fictionalized it as well. And she comes from Boona, so that's where the book is set. So that was quite an unusual book, I thought, to be published by a mainstream publisher. And then I recently went into this one, which is nonfiction by Clem Bastow. You know, has had quite a long career as a journalist or a reporter, a writer. And this one, I sat in on her discussion the other day online, and this one is about her path as an adult, finding out about her autism diagnosis.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so I like that, you know, there seems to be in the industry and increasingly, you know, this openness to the diversity, and it seems to be encouraged as well. This idea that, you know, different people have important stories to share, and there seems to be a climate that people are willing to listen.
And I suppose that's one thing that makes reading really important, is that it opens new perspectives to you. Is there anything else that you think that makes reading really important, or why is reading really important to you?
Well, for me, it's always been a form of escapism, you know, just a way to tune out from the stresses of the day. But also, I just have this insatiable thirst for learning about new things. And so that's what I would think. I think there's freedom to it as well. You know, it increases literacy and just broadens your worldview. So that's why I think it's important.
They are really important. That's a really good reason. And so moving on to your new and exciting book, would you like to tell us a little bit about your book that is set in Redcliffe, Queensland?
Yes, it's so new that I still don't have the my author copies, but they're coming soon. So I've got the cover up here on my phone to show, and I actually really love it because and this is published by Next Chapter, who are publishing a number of Australian authors as well as others from overseas, and so they designed this cover for me, and I like that the idea that the eyes, the three sets of eyes from the three main characters, are really staring at you, and that's really what I sort of set out to want to write about. It's sort of people on the fringe, or the people who are feeling very disconnected from society and not quite sure how to reconnect with people, but finding that they just get overlooked. So having the eyes on the cover forces you to really look at them, and challenges us to not just walk away when things get a bit difficult.
Excellent. Jo has really kindly donated a copy of the branded ones to our trivia winner today. And so that you know what you are winning, Jo has been also kind enough to do a reading for us. So she's going to read a section from, is it the first chapter?
It is from the first chapter. It's about sort of the second half of the first chapter. So there's about 3 pages, so bear with me. I do also want to put a little disclaimer. There's a little bit of swearing because it's teenagers at a party, and having, you know, worked with teenagers for the past 6 years, this is the language that flies around on an hourly basis. So it's just a natural part of, I don't know, just the way they talk, some of them. So anyway, my characters, some of them swear. So this is Melissa, she's 17. And the book starts off like young adult fiction, but it has the eyes of a 20-something-year-old woman and then a 40-something-year-old man. So it jumps between the 3 perspectives. Okay, so Melissa's at a party that she didn't really want to go to, but her friend Nadia has talked her into it. She didn't know how they had happened, really, the extra drinks. The room started to spin. her usually sharp mind blurred. Faces lurched in all around her, laughing, mocking faces. Melissa stared down into the cup of her cup and thought about the boys she'd seen at the beginning of the night sharing drugs. Had her drink been spiked? Nadia wouldn't do that to her, surely. The music cut in and out. A girl lurched towards her and blurted, "You've got beautiful hair," before running sticky fingers through it. Nadia refilled her drink and told her to enjoy herself. "I'm driving." Nadia blew on her face. "Not anymore." Melissa found everything hilarious. She completely lost it when someone tripped and face planted on the floor. The boy looked up, his nose bleeding. "Shut up, cunt. It's not funny." She raised her hands in surrender and backed away. What had happened to Nadia? Gone. Again. Story of her life. A hot surge of irritation propelled her towards the back door. The cool night air caressed her hot cheeks. She clumsily worked her way down some old wooden steps. 1, 2, tripped on 3 and grazed her leg on the gravel. Couldn't feel a thing. The garden was blissfully quiet and all but empty apart from some girls sitting chatting on the lawn. It was a welcome sanctuary, but the crisp night air failed to clear her mind or give her a better sense of orientation. Melissa squatted down and dropped her head between her knees. She groaned. "Nadia, where are you? Can you come and find me? I'm going to spew up." "Hey, are you okay?" She lifted her head and tried to focus. Everything needs to stop spinning. A hand reached out and took hold of her elbow. She wanted to cry at the kindness. The voice attached to the helper sounded familiar. Melissa gazed up. "It's you. Oh my God, you're so hot." "What?" "Sorry, I wasn't meant to say that out loud." She let out a giggle. "What are you doing out here by yourself? Everyone else is out the front." "Why aren't you, Jared? It's your party, remember?" "Maybe I was looking for you." Melissa blinked. "Me? Why?" "You seem like a good person." She swayed as he pulled her to his feet. She swayed as he pulled her to her feet, sliding his arm around her waist to steady her. A lightning bolt zapped her groin. Thank you. I've got to find Nadia." Jared flicked his hair out of his eyes. "Wouldn't you rather stay and hang out with me?" Cute. So fucking hot. Melissa shook her head to try and rid herself of the thought. Nadia had made her promise to ignore him, but it was hard to do when his body was pressed up against hers again. "Okay, I will then." She flung out an arm. "Stuff her." Could Jared tell how drunk she was? Of course he can, dummy. Of course he can, dummy. Only weird, geeky boys ever talked to her at parties. Never one she felt attracted to. That Jared actually wanted to stay and talk to her was nothing short of a miracle. "Come with me." He shifted his hand to the small of her back and encouraged her to start walking. Once Melissa had found better balance, he guided her further into the garden towards an outdoor sofa beneath the umbrella-like canopy of a jacaranda. "I'm not going to bite." Jared tugged at the end of her shirt, tugging she should sit down next to him. He looked up into the branches. "Awesome out here, don't you reckon?" "Yeah." Melissa's tongue felt thick and cumbersome. "How long have you known Nadia?" "Nadia!" She sat up and swung around in alarm. "Have you seen her? She keeps ditching me." Maybe this was a test and Nadia was watching them, silently daring Melissa to break the promise she'd made to steer clear of this boy, which, technically speaking, she kind of had. I'm not meant to be talking to you." Jared frowned. "Says who?" She hesitated. Melissa couldn't think of one good reason why on earth she shouldn't be. He had come to her rescue and was looking after her. "It doesn't matter." "Are you feeling cold?" "No, I'm fine." She felt mad. Jared seemed like a perfectly nice guy. Nadia was an idiot. "But why doesn't she like you?" Jared sighed and said nothing for a moment. "It's complicated." "Isn't everything where Nadia is concerned?" "You're not wrong there. She really said she doesn't like me?" Melissa nodded with regret. She didn't want to hurt his feelings. Fuck, that's bullshit. I really don't know what to do about it. He looked so sad and Melissa felt sorry for him. She wrapped her arms around his shoulders. "What happened?" Jared looked down at her and raised an eyebrow. "That's probably best left between me and her. Look, I don't want to sound like a dick, but can we please change the subject?" With his thumb, he tilted her chin up. Melissa's phone buzzed in her pocket and she fought the urge to check it. After a short pause, it started buzzing again. Sorry. It was all she could manage as she fished it out and turned it off without checking the screen. Don't worry about it. His hand still on her face, he brushed his finger over her bottom lip. Why don't you tell me something about you? Like what? I don't know. Like what you would rather be doing instead of being at this boring party. I can't believe I said that. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you. Jared leaned in and kissed her softly. He tasted like soft drink. He pulled away for just a moment to properly take her in. I'm not such a bad person, Melissa. She wanted more. Nadia was going to kill her.
Okay, there we go. Hey, well done. I have a feeling everyone's going to win.
I just thought I didn't know the answer, but I thought Trim sounded like the kind of different, interesting name that Tim Winton would use. So.
I think also it's based on a little bit of time of response, so that might be how it differentiates who wins. Oh.
I only know that because I've been reading it with Dom.
Is he enjoying it?
Yeah, he loves it.
Yes, Empires is his most recent, Zickel's most recent novel, actually.
Did he write About a Boy? Is that in the cards?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think so.
What is that? What was that scandal?
I actually should have read about what that scandal is, but I'm not sure.
I will later.
I'll read and post about it later. It's bad trivia practice. I apologize. It's wombat stew. Perhaps only known if you have small children and are forced to read it.
My son wouldn't eat anything until his daycare served up wombat stew and then he ate it. So that was quite good.
Oh, that's adorable. Yes, it's called Dark Emu. He also has a children's version of the book called Young Dark Emu, which is a picture book. Oh, very close. Yes, Odo Hirsch wrote some really interesting dystopian novels in which pursuing the wrong course, despite all advice, was referred to as doing a Bush after President Bush.
Hmm. Oh gosh. I'm just going with the top one because they just keep adding to them.
They do.
Yeah, I went and saw them in action, actually, having a chat, and they were saying that the tree house is modelled off a Moreton Bay fig tree, like this is that shape. Yeah.
Oh, how delightful.
And he went on to Google it, what's the best tree, and came out of that. That was the extent of his research.
Yeah. So Hannah Kent is the author of Burial Rites, which is a phenomenal literary novel about the last woman to be beheaded. Oh, you have it there.
Well, no, this is another one, so I'm yet to read it, but I did read Burial Rites.
And I think he has a new one, Devotion, as well.
Oh, okay,
maybe?
yeah.
I'm not sure if it's out yet. Well done, everyone.
That's how I know I've become an Australian, because I actually know the answer to that.
I loved that book when I was a kid. I love Robin Klein books, all of them. They're so good. Well, I don't know if I'd like them anymore, but when I was like 10, they were fabulous.
Did you see the film when you were younger?
Yeah, I remember seeing the film, and I remember going to see like a stage play of it as well.
Oh wow, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever read a book, Liz, that you read as a child and thought, why was I so obsessed with it?
Well, yeah, I'm sort of wondering. There's another one by Robin Klein called The List Maker that I was thinking of the other day, and I thought if I read it now, I'd probably think, why did I love this book?
Yeah. Also, things have changed so much with our use of technology as well, haven't they?
That's true. Yeah.
I like reading stories where there's no iPhones. Ooh.
Hey, well done. Oh no, wait, hang on. Did you all say Vegemite? You all said Vegemite. Yes, it's Miss Fisher. Esther Walcott is from Seven Little Australians. She's the stepmother. Jo,
gosh,
you're doing so well.
The nice thing is everybody gets a medal, don't they? Oh, well, if I get this one wrong, I'm in trouble, aren't I? Oh, everybody. Thanks for doing your research, everybody. Is
it a conflict of interest that the author has won?
Well, if the author's won, that means everybody gets a copy. So, yeah, everyone's a winner.
Well, congratulations, Kate and Liz. You both get copies. How exciting. Yay. Okay, I'm not sure. Wait, Liz, go ahead.
I do. Is now a good time? Okay.
Yes,
all right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Jo, you know, like as an English teacher, we spend lots of time deconstructing characters and thinking about how different characters are represented. And then in my work now, I spend a lot of time thinking about how the world works and how different groups of people are represented and like might be marginalised, privileged. I'm wondering when you write novels, do you put much conscious thought into how you're representing characters, or do you have kind of other priorities when you're developing characters?
I think for me personally, as a person, like my personality, I am always I'm not really good on small talk. I just want to cut straight to the chase and get under someone's skin and say, what makes you tick? And I always used to say with my students that, especially writing creative writing, that your stories are unique and interesting to other people. And I guess, something growing up, we all have different things that happen to us, and some of them are quite exceptional. And we don't always think of them as exceptional because they're just part of our life and they happen to us. And so it's not until we're adults that we start to process and think, that was quite unusual. And I'm always about connection, making connection. So I just love the underdog. I love, that people have overcome adversity and and as a result, they have grit and resilience. So the branded ones, I actually wrote before my historical fiction one, and I actually started writing it when I was 19. So it crosses 3 age groups that I'm actually now, I'm getting into the higher one. So a lot of what I write certainly comes from personal experience, but with this one, the branded ones, I felt really passionate about it because I was working in a school that was, I guess a lot of people came from financially challenged backgrounds. And when I was growing up, there was a period of time that I was also in that time as well. So, I guess I'm trying to write some of my own experiences and fictionalize them, but also just that fascination with other people's. I guess I am conscious of the fact that I am a Caucasian woman as well. So I think there has to be sensitivity as well around representing other nationalities and races. So I tend to, I guess I create the character in a way that it's leaves it into the reader's mind as to who they are and where they come from. I try and leave something for the reader to put their own experiences in. It's what I'm learning in my study this year, is the idea that you give what you create to the reader, and then it's up to the reader what they do with it. I'm using autoethnography, and I'm learning about how validating that is, not only for the writer but also for the reader. So they read someone else's experience.
You can find Jo online at www.joannaberesford.com, and her Instagram and Twitter handles are the English Nut One, and you can find her on Facebook at Joanna Beresford Writer. She's written 3 books, the branded ones, Every Year I Am Here, and the last link, an excellent creative nonfiction. Is that how you classify that?
Yes, and Next Chapter is actually relaunching it later on this year. I think it's been revised and updated, and we'll have a much fancier cover. So
oh, how
looking
exciting.
Forward to seeing that. Yeah,
I like the cover. It's kind of it's like a piece of art. I quite like it.
Yes, it actually is. It was a photo that my sister-in-law took actually of the particular coastline where the plane was seen.
Oh,
so
wow.
So the lower east coast of New Zealand, which is where I grew up.
And Jerry, you've also written a whole heap of short stories which are available in anthologies, which you can find on Jo's website. And you've also tried your hand at poetry and some kind of journalistic writing as well, all on your website. You can find me at Editing with Emily on Instagram.